Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Cycle Lab Coffee Time Chat. We are doing an in-house chat today with all about e-bikes. So we're going to be chatting everything about e-bikes today. In the hot seat today, we have Ali McLean. She's part of the family, Andrew McLean's wife. Welcome, Ali.
Thank you, Miles.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. To start out the conversation, there's been a kind of a mindset with e-bikes where it's all about people who are not able to ride bikes. It's for the lazy cyclists. But I mean, in actual fact, it's the complete opposite. How has the e-bike kind of transformed your e-bike cycling experience? Has it taken it from kind of riding less to riding more? How has it changed your cycling experience?
Thanks, Miles. I must say it's completely changed my riding. I've been riding for over 20 years, 25 years.
Wow, it's a long time.
Especially for only a 30-year-old. You know, I'm only
Wow.
30, so I started e-bike.
Brilliant.
I started riding very young, but I've ridden for many, many years. I started with road riding, then mountain biking, as we do, and I've been riding the e-bike for about 2 years now, and it's completely different. I think when you're riding your mountain bike, there's often times where you look at a mountain or a hill and it's, oh, here goes the schlep. People are saying we're going up that mountain or that hill now, and it's always, oh, here we go. And now on an e-bike, you look around and you say, what hill? What mountain? Let's go. Let's challenge ourselves and get up there and let's go for it. It's most certainly not for the lazy. I don't ever consider myself lazy, and I don't consider many, many people that are on e-bikes lazy. What it does do is it brings in a massive fun factor. You'll never see an e-bike rider without a smile on his face or her face. You come to the end of a ride and you're not absolutely shattered. You can be shattered if you prefer to be, because remember, you are the person that's in control. The bike's not in control. You're in control. So if you want to have a hard ride and ride only in the eco mode, you can do. But if you want to have a flat-out adrenaline riding a 27k average on trails, you can do that too. So you're in control of the bike. You ride as you want to. But the way you ask how to change my riding is tomorrow I get back on the bike again.
100%.
Whereas before, I would have a 60-kilometer ride and then I would need the next day to recover. Now I'm waking up in the middle of the night going, 4 more hours and we're off riding again.
Oh, brilliant.
So that's how it's most certainly changed.
100%. We are live from Cycle Lab in 4 ways. It is a live Q&A, so if you do have any questions for Ali, or later on in the show, we'll be getting James Ferree in the hot seat. He knows all the technical side. I know this looks like a transformer in kind of hibernation at the moment, but this is an e-bike motor battery, and James is going to be kind of taking us through all the kind of ins and outs and the technical side of things. Ali, I just want to share a personal story. I was riding in the cradle the other day, and I looked behind me, and there was this kind of oldish guy on an e-bike with no disrespect to him. He was probably about 55 to 60 years old.
Watch it,
and it's quite a sad story, because I was on my road bike and I was going up that hill towards Valverde.
Yes.
And I was like, there's no ways I'm going to let this guy catch me. So I go flat out. I try to stay away from this guy, and I look behind me, and he's starting to catch me. Anyway, I then swallow my pride, and he eventually catches up to me, and he was telling me how the e-bike has kind of changed his life. He's out on his bike every single day. It's kind of given him a new meaning to go out and explore as well. So just from that point of view, that changed my perspective and how it's bringing the cycling community closer together. You know, it's people who normally won't be riding together are now joining each other and kind of joining new group rides. Just from a charging point of view, so you obviously buy the bike, you charge it up. How long does one charge technically last on an e-bike?
So a charge probably takes, to be honest, I wouldn't know how long it takes to charge, because I come back in from my ride. My routine is stand the bike, put it on charge, and take it for later in the afternoon for its wash. But if you ride in eco, if I had to start off my ride, so just to explain to those people that don't know, you have the modes of eco, then tour, then e-mountain bike, and then turbo. So you can go between. It's not like you switch on your bike.
Sure.
I mean, a lot of people think you switch on your bike, you rev your throttle, and off you go. The bike is only going to do what you put into the pedals. So if I don't put any power into the pedals, the bike's not going to go. So you've got to put the power on. But you're asking about how long it lasts. So if I ride On eco, as I start my ride, if it's on eco, I can get 174, to be exact, kilometers of a ride.
That's a long way.
It is a long way. If you then up the modes and I go in turbo, I'll probably get 70 to 80 kilometers on turbo.
Okay.
And then going back, you mentioned something as you were talking there, saying how it's brought the community together. I'd also like to mention, while we're on the topic, is exactly that. There's not a month and Sundays that I would have been able to go on a ride with Andrew and his full gas team. Whereas now, I can't wait to go with them. Exactly. And you also have to, while we're talking about saying that you can drop them, there is e-bike etiquette as well. Sure. It's not great, which I was told by my husband, hey, can you please stop talking to me while we're on a climb? So you've got to have a little bit of etiquette too. Don't go and chase and race past them and try and show, because you have got a motor and it's not the right thing to do. But it does most certainly. I can ride with Andrew. I can ride with my normal friends that I rode with in the club. So it's not that you can't ride with the people that are on traditional bikes. I want to call them traditional. Yeah. You can ride on eco and still ride with those normal people, with the people on normal bikes. Or I can then go and ride on a little bit further, e-mountain bikes, say, and ride with Andrew. And as they would normally have been going up some crazy technical hill, I would have been thinking, well, that's it, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Now I can go with them. And because you've got the power, you can do a lot more technical, and it's more forgiving on the technical, because you've got the power to get out of any situation that you're in.
Brilliant. On that topic of going very fast, I was actually quite amazed to find out that e-bikes come with a speed limit. So when they drop into the country, there's a law that an e-bike can't go faster than 30 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
But I rode with you, it was a couple of weeks ago, and you were going extremely fast. I mean, you weren't going 30k an hour. Was that the power in the legs, or is there something that you've done to be able to access that extra speed?
Miles, I wish I could say it was the power in the legs, but no, it wasn't. Although I am more fitter now, having had an e-bike, because I ride more often. But no, there is a system where you can, it's a enhancement system where you uncap the factory setting of the speed limit.
Oh, so, amazing.
Yeah,
Jeez.
so the speed limit as your factory given bike is on 26 kilometers an hour. But there is the system that you can have, and it uncaps that top speed, and you can get up to even 60 kilometers on a flat. So the reason that we've done it, and I've done it, and many thousands of mountain bikers around the world have used this uncapping system, is that if you're on a open dirt road or on the tar roads as before starting and getting on the trails, you'll find that you're losing. You just need, as you know, a lot of people will ride it faster than 26 kilometers. So you need it for then. And then, so you'll use it then, and then you probably don't use it again unless, so that's what I say, you've got so many different varieties of types of riding that you can do. So you can ride with your normal club and your normal mates that are on traditional bikes, or you can go on a flat out. Sometimes we go off on turbo, uncapped speed, and we'll do a 30 kilometer an hour ride. So you've got so many variants of riding that you can do.
That's amazing. And it's not like it's dangerous by any means. It's not like it's a motorbike where you get this free speed. You still have to put in power to the pedals.
Exactly that.
You know, so
you've got to put the power to the pedals for it to then give you the speed. It doesn't 100%. Just happen.
Brilliant. In terms of the weight of the bike, I mean, an e-bike can be a whole lot heavier than a normal traditional bike. They can get up to about 20 to 22 kilograms. How does that affect your way of riding? Does it play a big impact, or is it just as normal?
It's funny, when we stop at a coffee shop and somebody will come up and say, oh, is this an e-bike? Let's have a look. And then they straight away, as you would a traditional bike, pick it up to feel the weight. And they go, what? You must be joking. You can't ride this. When you're on the bike and you're going, you wouldn't even have a clue. The only time the weight affects you is by picking it up and putting it onto your tow bar. But does that matter? Amazing. When you're on a ride, you wouldn't know if the bike weighed 5 kilos, 40 kilos. It doesn't matter. Makes no difference.
Amazing. We do have some questions that came through on Instagram earlier this week. And there's a few questions which we can ask you, and we'll ask James a few as well, just more of the technical type of stuff. But how do you actually, in fact, transport your e-bike? Is it just like a normal bike rack, or is there a certain kind of adaptation you need? Or
you have to have a good bike rack. You can't
Okay.
have the hanging bike rack.
Okay.
But I have a 2-bike bike rack, a 2-bike, and it stands on there. It has to be a stand on. It can't be a hang-on
Okay. Brilliant.
rack.
And this might not be a question for you. We might have to ask James this, but how do you wash your e-bike? Is there any precautions that you have to take in terms of applying water to the motor? Or?
You wash it exactly the same as you would
Okay.
any normal bike, but I don't use a high pressure. I wouldn't like to use a high pressure washer, but you wash your bike like you would any other bike.
In
you
general, I
surface
wouldn't
it like
recommend
you would
a
any
high
other
pressure.
bike.
Okay. Servicing as usual?
Yep, as usual.
okay.
Your shock every 6 months, but it's absolutely normal as any traditional bike.
Would you ever go back to riding a normal traditional bike, or have you always e-bike?
I need that. When I got 2 years ago, when I got my first e-bike, Andrew was saying, right, let's sell the Cannondale, and I was going, not a chance. We're keeping this. I'll ride that on some days. I'll ride, and eventually after 6 months, I thought, has quite a bit of dust on it. Let's get rid of it. It just brings a total different fun factor. I just wish people would don't stand back and say, oh, you cheat, which I'd like to talk about as well. Don't stand back and say, oh, you cheat. You get on one. Just try one.
It out, 100%.
Because you don't understand until you've ridden it. It's really unbelievable.
Guys, please leave your questions in the comment section. There's endless questions which you can ask our guests today. On that note of cheating, there's this app which everyone uses called Strava. So if you're hunting Strava segments on your e-bike and you manage to get one, is there like a setting on your Strava profile which
Absolutely.
you say you have an e-bike, or,
Yes.
or do you just claim it?
No, don't claim it at all. That would be the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
It's the same as standing on a start line with all people on a traditional bike.
Sure.
That would be cheating, absolutely. When you on your Strava, on your setup, and you put your equipment down as being an e-bike. But now what they're doing, which is new on Strava, is that there's e-bike segments as well. So you're not competing against.
Oh,
It's
okay.
exactly the same as if you were in a
Completely
race.
separate.
In a race, you're either competing with traditional bike or you're competing against e-bikes.
E-bike
It's
category.
not exactly. They're totally different.
And do you see an e-bike category growing in the future in terms of events, like going to a race? Do you think there's
Absolutely.
going to be a completely separate e-bike
Yes.
category, and it's going to
In
be a completely
fact, I'll
different
go as
skill?
far as to say, so now at the moment there are well, obviously we're not racing at the moment, but there is categories, e-bike category, but I go as far as to say that there will be e-bike only rides in the
Wow.
future. I'll bet you within 3 years, 85% of South Africa, as it is already in Europe, South Africans will be on e-bikes, and there will be e-bike only races.
There you have it.
I'll bet you.
It's the future of mountain biking. There's going to be e-bike only races. So if you don't have an e-bike, you're not even going to be able to race. But on that note, it is Women's Month, and it is Women's Day on Sunday. So Cycle Lab are running a promotion. So if you look on screen there, I did bring it up a few moments ago, but there's a Women's Day sale. So that runs from today, tomorrow, and Sunday, and you can get some discounts on a Live bicycle. So is that correct?
You can get a 15% back voucher.
15% back voucher if you purchase any ladies' bicycle. So not just e-bikes. So sorry, I stand to be corrected. I wrote down the wrong script.
That's okay.
So yeah, so you will get a 15% discount voucher for all ladies' bikes. So take advantage of that. It is Ladies Month
Good.
and Women's Day on Sunday. And it's a public holiday on Monday, so hopefully
That's
we'll be
it. And we'll be
getting out
riding.
on the bike.
Yes.
Brilliant. So everyone, Ali, is there anything you want to add? Anything else?
No.
Thank you
All
for
good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
coming through.
Good.
We're going to cross over now to James Faree, who is our specialist e-bike mechanic here at Cycle Lab, and he's going to be taking us through the technical side of the motors and how they all work and the different types. So we're just going to have a quick ad break, and we'll get James in the seat. So stay tuned. We'll get James in a moment.
Cool.
We're back. James, how's it?
How's
How
it
are
going,
you?
Mano? Good and
This
you?
is James Faree. He's from the workshop at Psycholab in Fourways, and he specializes in e-bikes and all the ins and outs and the technical side of things. James, like I mentioned earlier, this looks like a transformer in hibernation. What do we have here? This is an e-bike motor, but how does it actually fit into the bike?
So basically, you've got your 3 bolts on this side, and on the other side there should be another bracket, and then this basically bolts onto your bike like that, and your cranks mount onto the sides here.
Okay.
And then, yeah, basically you've got your motor here, and you've got 3 parts of the e-bike system. You've got your motor, you've got your battery, and your head unit.
Brilliant. So, James, in terms of motors and batteries, I've seen a few different types. There's the ones that bolt onto the crank.
That's right.
And then the battery kind of feeds up the down tube.
Yeah.
And then you get ones that kind of power your back wheel and the hub.
That's right. Yeah.
What's the difference between those two, and is there an advantage of one over the other, price point and also in terms of power?
Yeah, I'll say obviously in Europe, e-bikes and motors have been around for a lot longer than what they have been here in South Africa. They've been around for over 10 years. So this is all pretty new to South Africa, and then not too quite new, but on the rear hub motors, that's generally for your cruisers and a bit more entry level. Although it doesn't cap your power or anything like that. But most of the motors we're finding here in South Africa are your motors such as these, the Bosch ones that are sitting at the bottom of the frame, the crank-based motors.
Okay, so they are a lot more powerful as well, the ones that are in the crank.
Slightly, but you can't really say they're a bit more powerful because of the European laws and the caps and powers. Having more power, you would need to have a license to license your bicycle as such.
Okay.
That's why they're limiting the power and your speed.
Okay, perfect. And in terms of brands, is there like a specific brand that is kind of taking over the motor industry in e-bikes, or is it kind of a competitive market where there's a few of them?
Definitely. I think a lot of the manufacturers have had a go at building their own motors and that, but Bosch has been in the industry for many years. They've been in automotive industry and your household appliances, so they've been doing it for many, many years. So Bosch is, you're finding them in most of the old manufacturers, but there are other brands available. Shimano, you are getting Bros, but Bosch is definitely the market leader, I'd say.
Brilliant. What do we have in this box here? It looks very complicated. Is this kind of
So this is basically a service kit that we get from Bosch, and so when you have motors, same as having a bottom bracket service on your bike, we would service these main bearings. And this would all come in a kit like this. You'd bring your bike in, book it in, and we would basically fit this kit for you, replace all the bearings inside, and then your motor should be as good as new.
Some Instagram questions we got during the week. Do you get road e-bikes?
You do, so yeah, you do. And obviously with road, everything's about being lighter and faster. So motors are getting a lot smaller, and yeah, you are finding a lot more road bikes out there. Obviously, some of these newer motors, and you hardly see them, and you can hardly distinguish sometimes that there's a motor in the bike until you have a real close look at it.
I was just about to ask you that. In terms of technology and kind of how it's progressed, everything's getting lighter, stronger, faster. Has there been a big progression in terms of the last 2 years of how motors have actually start to kind of the technology get better?
Definitely. So in the front of us here, this is a Generation 3 Bosch motor. The newer motors are Generation 4 from Bosch, and they're a lot smaller, pushing out the same amount of power. And then there's been a new software update. With the same motor, you're getting an extra 10 Newton meters of power out of it. So the motors are getting smaller, and they're pushing out more power than what they used to. And also the motors are getting lighter. So you're finding that the motors used to be made out of aluminium, they're now being made out of magnesium.
Oh, wow.
So they're really getting on the really light side of cycling.
In terms of power and how much it actually adds, it probably does vary according to what setting you're on. But let's say, for example, if someone's pushing 200 watts, naturally, how much power will the motor kind of give?
So as Ali was explaining earlier, on the different modes that you have on your head unit, you'd have your turbo, eco, and MT mode, as well as your turbo mode. Your normal eco mode, you're basically going to be doubling your power for every watt that you push out. It's going to give you 100% back more, so you're going to get 2 watts out of it essentially. and then if you go in the turbo mode for about 30 seconds, you're getting up to 350% of your power output back.
That's
so
a
it's
lot.
quite a bit, so especially like if you're doing very technical trails and you want to give it a go, you can get that power out of it and get out of that sticky spot.
Brilliant. Let's just mention our Zero to Hero starter pack deal, which we have running. So this is up for anyone who wants to start out with the kind of e-bike experience. You get a rally e-bike, and that has the hub-based motor.
That's right.
Right,
Yes.
James. And you get a helmet. You get a whole starter pack. So it comes with cycling shorts and all your cycling essentials. So that's a very nice deal. For only 15,000 rand, you can get your
deal.
e-bike starter pack, which is very cool. And also there's the 2021 e-bikes are being launched. The Scott e-bikes, you can pre-purchase, not pre-purchase, you can pre-order them on our Cycle Lab website, or you can come in store and place an order for your 2021 Scott e-bike. You can actually finance them as well with Westbank. So if you're not able to pay the money up front, there are different ways which you can kind of finance it, so you can still get your hands on your dream e-bike. So back to you, James. Thank you for kind of coming on and speaking about all the technicalities. One last question. What are some of the main problems that you have been seeing with people who are bringing e-bikes in? Are there like kind of software upgrades that people need to do? What's the kind of quick fix to the kind of common problems that people have?
So basically when the bike comes in, we plug it into the diagnostics, and then on the system we would find error codes that we could maybe clear. A lot of them are just simple clearing of the error codes and doing a software update, and then they generally go away. But other than that, it's services such as these on your bearings inside your motors, but not too often. And then also people must just remember that when you do ride an e-bike, you are pushing a lot more power through your drivetrain, and so those components will wear. But nowadays you're finding chains are being made specifically for e-bikes. There's specific chains and cassettes that match up, so it's actually lasting a lot longer than what everybody's planned.
James, it's a privilege to have you in our show today.
Thanks for having me.
Your knowledge about e-bikes and everything is unreal, and Cycle Lab it's also very privileged to have you in the workshop. So thank you for joining. Thank you to our viewers for joining. Next week, back by popular demand, we'll be having a guest speaker. It's kind of under wraps for now, so stay tuned to our Facebook page where we will unveil what we're going to be kind of talking about next week. So thank you for tuning in today, and on Tuesday we are going live as well. It's a little bit of a secret, but we're going to be launching something very special. So stay tuned to our Facebook page, and we'll be seeing you on Tuesday and Friday. So thanks for tuning, everyone. We'll see you out there on the bike trails, and get your orders in for your e-bikes. Cheers.